I just did a whole assessment on my yard because I have incredible tall trees all around in the whole neighborhood. So we've been very blessed and lucky because over 300,000 people in the area have had no power, but we did. So very blessed. And I don't have any big trees in danger. Of course, there are limbs and lots of cleanup, but very blessed. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, welcome everybody to our first relationship satsang group.
Yay.
And I'm actually going to start recording. There we go. It's really wonderful to see all of you, those of you who have your cameras on, and all the names of our friends who are with us. And welcome. This is something that I haven't done for a few years, and I'm really excited about. It's an opportunity for us to all come together in community. That's why I call it satsang, and to learn and practice the tools of compassionate communication, emotional intelligence skill building, and all the other things that I've learned and that many of you have learned. We're going to have different coaches that we have with us. We have Dr. Josie Ann with us today. We've got Nikita. We've got other love coaches. And we have Krista, who's an amazing coach, epigenetics coach. And we're going to have Kristin Hoffmann with us, our very special guest today. I'm going to put the spotlight on her as well. Kristin, thank you so much for being my special guest for our opening show today, our opening satsang.
It's such a joy to be here. I am very excited about relationship satsang. I know this is going to be an incredible tool for every single person who chooses to engage in whatever relationship you're going through, whether it be friends, family, romantic. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, most of you know me as the host of the Awakening World shows, but my day job is as a love coach. And so kind of the way we're going to do it is in a moment, I'm going to turn over to Kristin to just get us started dropping into our heart in the way that she does. And then I'm going to take any relationship challenges that people are having, and we're going to talk about them. Now, for those of you that are comfortable being on camera and sharing your relationship challenge, that's great. But maybe some of you want support, but you want to be more anonymous. And if that's the case, just send me a private message in the chat box, a direct message with what the relationship issue is. And I won't mention your name, but I'll just tackle that particular challenge. So that's how we'll do it. We are live on Facebook as well. And thank you to John and Summer Raymer for getting us out over the Sign Network. And love coaching, which this is all about really doing everything from a place of compassion. And when people ask me what's the difference between love coaching and traditional therapy or coaching, my standard response is this: that a traditional therapist has spent many, many years learning how to evaluate and diagnose what's wrong with people. And certainly there's a purpose to that and a reason to that. But in love coaching, I don't believe there's anything wrong with anybody. Nobody's broken. Nobody is permanently anything. What is true is that it's challenging to be a human being. We're spiritual beings, but we are in animal bodies. We're having this human experience, and it's challenging and it's hard. And even if someone has a diagnosable issue, that's the challenge that they're facing as a spiritual being, having a human experience. So in love coaching, it's all very compassion based, so that we are remembering and coming together to support each other. I want to say a week from now, on Friday, October 7th, I'm going to be doing a wonderful show with Dr. Josie Ann and Montauk Chia, all about compassionate love. And we'll talk
Yay.
maybe a little bit more about that later on in the show, and there might be even some moments, Josiane, that you may want to share some of your wisdom based on what comes up today. So we're going to, really approach things with a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of compassion. And it's wonderful to just see so many of you with us. So thank you. And since it's all about heart-based, I can think of no more wonderful way to drop into our hearts than for me to put the camera and the focus on our beloved Kristin Hoffmann.
Oh, well, I'm going to tune in with you all right now. This song has not been written before. It's going to be our collective heart expression as we close our eyes and step into our hearts and really open into this space of possibility together. So let's just take a couple deep breaths before I enter into the music. Inhaling. Exhaling anything that doesn't need to be here in this moment. Inhaling, calling all your attention that might be out in other areas back here into this now. Calling it in and then dropping it down into your heart with an exhale. And with this last inhale, imagine that you're sending a rooting ground into the center of the earth, dropping down your roots. And exhaling, knowing that you have that infinite connection and nurturing cord with Mother Earth. Even when things feel rocky, you are grounded. So may we all focus our intention into this moment, all of our questions, and may this music be an opportunity for us to deepen into this cohesive space together and prepare for the journey ahead. stepping into this circle of love. Let the wholeness in, let the wholeness in. Remember the healing, it's all in this moment now. Remember the infinite wisdom of you. Let the angels in, let the angels in. Let the healing begin in this moment. It's always in you. It's always in you. Let your heart guide the way, let your heart guide the way. Now is the time and now is the day to let your heart guide the way in this circle of love, in this circle of love. Infinite love, infinite blessings for this beautiful space and this incredible day of possibility. Love you, Scott. Thank you.
The only challenge with having you open is now I can't talk. It's like I'm speechless. Thank you. I know I'm not the only one with tears. You know, just as Kristin doesn't know what's going to come through when she starts her music, likewise, when I'm doing my relationship satsang, I'm wide open. I don't know what's going to come through. I don't know which questions you're going to ask. But as she was singing, I did realize that there was one thing I wanted to start with. And but before I do that, I should remind anybody watching on Facebook, if you want to come into our Zoom room, go to my profile page on Facebook, and you'll see where you can register and come into the Zoom room. And for those of you that are in the Zoom room, please do give us your thoughts, your questions that you want us to talk about today. But I want to start, since this is a very special day, our first day of October, the start of our relationship satsang, the start of the new season for the awakening world. And we just have had our hearts blown open by Kristin. I'm going to give a gift, which is I'm going to share with everybody the meaning of life. So congratulations. You don't have to go to the Himalayas and find a guru. You don't have to spend all that time meditating, although I still encourage meditation. I'm going to share with you right now the meaning of life. And I mean this sincerely. As most of you know, and some of you have heard this story before, my primary career for a long time was as a writer, director, and producer of television. And I did a lot of television shows on near-death experiences. And at the time, the world's foremost kind of researcher and authority on near-death experiences was a man named Dr. Kenneth Ring like on your finger. And you can Google him and read about him. And when I first interviewed him, he had been doing research and comparative analysis for 10 years on people who had had legitimate near-death experiences. He would only accept a case if it was somebody who had been declared dead by a doctor or a police officer. They had to have been dead for at least 20 minutes. They had to have some partial memory of what happened while they were out there. And they had to be willing to be hypnotized by a professional hypnotist while Dr. Ring asked questions to probe the subconscious. He had, over 10 years, researched 300 cases all around the world. People of all colors, races, ages, religious and spiritual backgrounds. And people's experiences really varied. You know, some people saw the golden light, some people saw deceased relatives, some people saw religious figures. But there was one commonality, which he hadn't even been looking for when he started. And the commonality was the meaning of life. Whether it was Jesus showing it to the person, or their dead Uncle Fred showing it to them, or they just were remembering it. There was always a variation on the same theme. I'm here to learn to love, starting with myself. I'm here to learn to love, starting with myself. Now, most people had their own caveat. I'm here to learn to love myself, even though I lost my legs in the car accident, or even though I'm an alcoholic, or my wife left me, or my business failed, or my father beat me, or whatever their very real human challenges were. I'm here to learn to love myself despite the wounding, despite the challenges. And I learned that from him before I started my work as a coach. Since that time, I've coached and ministered to thousands of people. And it really helps me because I go, oh, she's here to learn to love herself, even though whatever it might be. And that's really helped me to understand what I started by saying at the beginning. No one's broken. No one is a permanent addict or a permanent this or a permanent that. They are dealing with their addiction issue. They're dealing with their bipolar issue. They're dealing with their, whatever it might be, their weight issue. And those are hard issues to deal with, but they're here so that soul can learn to love themselves through that particular way. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you to take a moment and just, I ask you the question, what perhaps are you needing to learn to accept about yourself or about your life history? What is it that you are still challenged by, that rock in your shoe, if you will, that pebble that still grates about your history, about your life, about the way you'd like to be, but you aren't? Whatever that might be, what if you're here to learn to love yourself, to still love life, despite that wounding, despite that disappointment, despite that disillusionment? You know, most of us have experienced significant disillusionment perhaps in marriage partners, or disillusionment in family members, certainly disillusionment in certain political or spiritual leaders, maybe disillusionment with ourselves. I see one of the people is writing in the chat box, I'm feeling tears, much sadness for lost time, lost opportunity. Regret. Regret's a tough one, isn't it? Regret's a tough one. Thank you for sharing that. So if anyone wants to share more what comes up for you, I can keep it anonymous. Or if you want to come on camera, just say I'm willing to share on camera. But that's really the foundation of what we're working with today, and what we're going to be working with every Saturday morning. And again, you're welcome to come every Saturday, or it's a drop-in group, invite your friends. And of course, we're building community, and it's wonderful, the community that has already begun through Global Peace Tribe, which will continue to grow really this new season with this Saturday morning class with our retreat that many of you are going to be at. Amshar and Karen and some of the others that are with us are going to be there. And that's in Sedona in October. Somebody asked about gaslighting. So there's our first question. Please help with responding to being gaslighted. I care about people and this gaslighting is too much. So to that person, just wondering if you want to keep it anonymous, or if you are willing for me to bring you on camera and dialogue with you to get more details. While I wait for your response, just to define, because people might not know, gaslighting is when someone is being victimized in some way, and the perpetrator turns it around on them by saying, oh, you're just crazy. So a classic example would be a woman suspects her husband is having an affair, and he actually really is, and he denies it and just insists that she's crazy, and those are crazy thoughts to be having. That's an example of gaslighting. I want to, of course, acknowledge that we try and avoid or go beyond victim perpetrator model in this group, but certainly there are times that we do experience being victimized, and there are times that we play the role of perpetrator. So I just want to, acknowledge that. And so dealing with gaslighting, and the person asked doesn't have a camera on, so I'll just kind of work with it. First off, my first thought is to really reevaluate if you want to be in a relationship with this person, because that's a pretty serious pathology. Now, one of the things that I teach is that when we're in a relationship that matters to us, and we do something that has a hurtful consequence, one of the most difficult things in any relationship that matters is to own that hurtful consequence. And we've all been there. We've all been in a situation where we made a choice that had a hurtful impact on our spouse or a family member or a friend. And I like to just, by the way, our motto is how perfectly human. So let's say I, Scott, have done something that's hurt another person. And my ego comes to my rescue because, oh my God, I do not want to deal with the fact that I hurt this person that I love or care about. And so when that happens, I call it the 6 Ds, the things that my ego might bring to mind to do to protect me. I might defend myself. I might deny it. I might try to distract the energy. I might try to deflect the energy. I might get deceptive about what really happened, or I might just get bigger reptile and dominate. The 6 Ds. I'll try and repeat them again. Deny, defend, diminish, deflect, dominate, and did I say deceive? Anyway, there they are. And it's perfectly human. Now, that doesn't mean I'm condoning it. I'm just acknowledging we've all done that, or we've done one of those things. So if that's the case, that may include gaslighting, especially if I'm being deceptive. So if it's somebody that you're in a permanent relationship with, and I see that she says it's a birth family member, that's where we need to try and make it safe to be honest. What would you need to just be safe to tell me the truth? I really want to know, are you having an affair? Did you take this money? Did you do whatever it is? And I will be hurt, but I'd rather know the truth than not know. So we can try and make it safe. If it's somebody who absolutely refuses, under any circumstance, if we've done our very best to make it safe, to be honest, or to be transparent, if they still refuse and they continue to tell us we're crazy or to make us bad or wrong, then you really need to take space. You need to take space and really reevaluate the relationship. Now, some relationships we absolutely, well, I should say you can get out of any relationship. I mean, most of us have even family members or ex-spouses that we've set big boundaries with. I would imagine that almost all of us have at some point had to create a big boundary with someone we once loved. So you need to reevaluate, what is my current relationship with this person? What am I getting out of the relationship? And weigh, is the pain of this relationship outweighing what I get out of it? And that's a hard thing to do. I've coached a lot of people on that. You got to really weigh it. And what I've learned when I work with people on that almost always it's the pleasure, the good stuff in the relationship is in the past. In the past, it was really good. In the past, there was a lot of love or a lot of mutuality, but actually in present time, it's gone south. It's gotten toxic. So that's often the case. And then we sometimes have to then set a boundary until you're willing to be honest with me about this, or until, and that's where you have to get clear on what it is you need to continue the relationship. And until you can do this, I need to take space. And the magic words are, I'm learning to take better care of myself. Another little tip, when you perceive that the person is lying or not telling the truth, don't accuse them of lying, because that's a trigger word and they're going to defend themselves. So they're going to go further into reptile brain. But a good way to frame it is I'm feeling very confused, because my understanding of what happened, or my perception of what has happened or is happening is. And when you share your perception, it's so different from mine that I'm very confused. And I need to take space from you until there's more clarity. That's a diplomatic way of managing it. Now, of course, obviously, depending on the situation and the circumstances, there's all sorts of variations. I'm giving kind of general ways of managing this. And it's so hard when someone we're close to or care about is we're having that experience with them. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to take a look at that person's chat. She wrote, it takes me years and I can even hold them in love, but not close. Yeah. Setting boundaries with compassion is a big part of love coaching. It's a big part of compassionate communication. Back before we were doing all of this online, when I was traveling all over the country, teaching compassionate communication at different churches and people's living rooms, I had audio cassettes that I had made. Remember when we had CDs? And so I had 20 different CDs, audio recordings of my teachings that I had made. The best-selling CD by far was How to Set Boundaries with Compassion. And I think it's because most of the people who are attracted to my work are compassionate people who have trouble setting boundaries. And it is an art form to set a boundary with compassion. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to take another look at the chat box and see what's coming in as far as other requests or other questions that are coming in. So when we need to set a boundary with compassion, make it a boundary sandwich. You're going to put the boundary in the middle, but on either side of it, you're going to put something very important. You're going to lead with authentic reassurance that you care. This is worth writing down if you're taking notes. When setting a boundary, lead with authentic reassurance that you care about that person. This is really important because we have trouble setting a boundary because we're afraid we're going to be seen as not caring. Right? And most of us want to be seen as a loving, caring, kind, compassionate person. And we're also afraid of being accused of not caring. When we set the boundary, often we're, accused, well, you don't really love me. That's what a child would do. When a child or someone acting childish doesn't get their way, what do? You don't really love me. You don't really care, right? So we've heard that too many times, or we have that fear. So establish in whatever way is authentic and true. I genuinely care about you. Or even, let's say it's somebody asking you, can you drive me to the airport? I genuinely care about your need to get to the airport. I genuinely care about you. I genuinely care about our relationship. Whatever is authentic and true, establish the authentic care. And then you set the boundary and you share why. I can't drive you to the airport because I'm already committed to teach a class. I'm already committed to whatever it is. Or if it's a tougher one, somebody who, I'm going to give a few examples of boundaries. Somebody who wants to date you. And wow, that's a tough boundary. Thank you. Wow, I really care about our friendship, and I appreciate the courage it takes to ask me out on a date and to want to explore that direction. So thank you. I care about you, and I want to have a good friendship with you. And because I want to have a good friendship with you, I'd like to keep it at this time on a platonic level. Or I'm already in another relationship, or I'm not available at this time. So you set the boundary. I'm going to give one more example of a hard boundary to set. And that's when there's someone in our life who's has a compulsive behavior that is impacting us. And certainly all of us have had friends or loved ones or family members that sometimes their relationship to alcohol, their relationship to cigarettes, tobacco, the relationship to pot, or the relationship to drugs impacts us. And notice that that's how I'm describing it, that's how I'm defining it, because that's the point of the boundary. It's not to judge them for their relationship to any substance, but it's because of how that relationship is impacting us that we have to set the boundary. So let's take the language in to remember. And so again, that's hard. And I bet almost all of us have had that situation where we've had to deal with someone we really care about, but man, when they drink too much, or just the way they smell after cigarette smoking, I apologize to anybody who smokes. I don't mean to offend you, but that's a common one for some of us who don't smoke. Or listen, I eat meat still, but I know some people can't stand the smell of meat, right? So, we all have certain things that we do that impact others. And so it's not about right or wrong. It's not about good or bad, but it's about impact. So again, I really care about you. I love when you're sober. I love hanging out when you're sober. Or it might even be, I love having a drink or two with you. But when you've had a certain number and you get violent or you get aggressive or experience you, it's best to say, I experience you as, right? And maybe give a specific example of that experience. It impacts me. And all of a sudden, my day goes south. I end up having a terrible evening. I end up feeling it for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. My nervous system. Make it about you, not about, and then you did this, and then you did that, and then when you were drunk, you did this, and then you did that. No, how it impacted me, my nervous system. I wasn't able to sleep. I'm not able, I lie awake at night trying to figure out how to handle this. You make it about how it impacts you. And this is why I'm setting the boundary. Now, remember I mentioned it's a boundary sandwich. We lead with authentic reassurance that we care. We set the boundary. And the other side of it, the other side of the sandwich at the end, is we acknowledge and we give presence to their discomfort, because they're going to have discomfort. They're going to be hurt. They're going to be angry. They're going to be sad. They're going to be frustrated. They're probably going to have some uncomfortable feeling because we're not meeting their need. We set a boundary. We said, no, we're not going to go out on a date with them. We're not going to continue to hang out with them when they drink. We're not going to drive them to the airport. And so we create the spaciousness to be present to their discomfort. We don't change our decision because of their discomfort, but we acknowledge, yeah, I get it. You really need to get to the airport and you don't know how to do it. And you're hoping I could do that. Or, of course you want to date me. I'm hot. And you're disappointed. I get it. That might be a little bit playful. Or the hard one. Yeah, I hope that you'll find a way to work with your relationship to alcohol so that we can continue to spend time together, because I really enjoy it. And I understand you're disappointed, and I'm not judging you. And it's really important. And look within yourself. When we have this conversation, don't be coming from a place of judgment. Our job is not to tell them that they're bad, stupid, or wrong. Our job is to inform them of the impact of their actions on us. I'm going to say that again. Our job is not to teach them that they're bad or they're stupid or they're wrong. We're not their judge. We're their ally in life, reflecting the impact of their choice on our life. That's the loving way to do it. So if you're going to have a difficult conversation like this, do your homework first. What's my judgment? And you'll probably find judgment. What's the part of me that really wants to point out to them how bad, stupid, or wrong they are? And manage that before you have the conversation. So that's not your intention. Your intention is to create greater understanding for them to understand the impact of their choice on your life. So that was a lot. And I'm going to take a look. I need to take a look at the comments here. Atara, I see you've got your hand up, so I'm going to actually bring you on camera. And whatever it is you want to share. And I'm also going to look at the comments while you share whatever you want to share.
Absolutely. But this reminded me of, it was a drug situation where my lover and I had done some drugs. He turned violent, and we had EMTs, the police, everything involved. And we've talked about it, but he wants to do some more. And I'm having such a hard time. And I told him how scared I was because he was swinging, and how I sat on him to hold him still. I'm scared. And I've told him that I'm frightened about trying to do any more drugs with him. And I'm not anti-drug. For Pete's sake, I have a grow. But several times I've told him that this scared me. It really frightened me. And he still wants to do them. And I love him dearly. And I'm at a loss at how many times I have to say in some fashion, really? And I keep capitulating. Oh, okay. If we do this very carefully, if we do this slowly, if we do, yeah. And my heart of hearts says, fuck no.
What's your relationship to this person?
He's my lover.
Okay. And do you live together?
No, he's in San Jose and I'm here. So we don't see each other that much.
And the issue is that when he's with you, he wants to do drugs.
Yes. And some of them are so mild, it's okay. And I've felt the effects and they're okay. But he has a problem of subtlety, of moderation. It's like, go for it.
Right.
Not knowing what the results will be.
That's hard. I mean, and there's no simple answer. I'm gonna offer.
And I just wanted to express myself.
Yeah, no.
Anything.
I'll offer a couple of thoughts, and these are just thoughts. First off, as specific as you can be, let him know, remind him of what you've experienced that scared you, that like the experience you was telling where he's swinging and you had to sit on him, because he probably doesn't even remember it.
No, he doesn't remember.
Yeah. And so you need to really vividly describe it to him and ask him to experience it with you, not to defend himself, not to say, oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not about I'm sorry. and not to defend himself, but for him to really imagine what it was like for you having that experience. And since he is your lover, you know, it's an incredible form of intimacy to share with someone an experience we've had as a result of their choices that was really painful. And again, you got to really create a safe space. I'm not here to make you wrong. I'm not here to judge you, but I really need you to understand what it was like for me. Can you give me the gift of just being present as I share with you what happened in my body, what happened in my heart, how it impacted me, how it impacted my nervous system. And again, and you may have to say 20 times, I don't want you to feel guilty. I'm not shaming you. I just want you to understand me so you know why I need to set this boundary. Okay. Another practical thing, and this is a closer group, so I can be honest. When my wife was still alive, we really enjoyed taking ecstasy together. Mm-hmm. And we learned that I had to be the one who managed where it was hidden and how much we took. Because once she got started, she wanted to continue. And even if I wasn't there, I had to hide it because she would just get that impulse, right, to use it. And so that points to a perfectly human and challenging thing, which is our pleasure center. Okay. Why do people have addiction? Why are people compulsive? Why do we have that experience of when we're in our hangover stage, I never want to drink again, right? Or when we're in the emotional hangover of having hurt someone, I never want to do that again. That's because we're in the part of the brain or the part of the physical body that's remembering the hangover and is in the hangover and it's funky. But there's another part of our body. There's our pleasure center, our pleasure memory. There's a famous line, quote that some of you probably heard, that every heroin addict is seeking that first high that they had. I never took heroin, but from what I understand, it's the very first high is amazing. It's incredible. And so the addiction is because the pleasure memory of the brain remembers that pleasure and they're going after it. Now, we all can relate to that. It might be a certain time at night and your pleasure memory remembers Haagen-Dazs ice cream, vanilla bean, or whatever it might be, and I'm gonna go ahead. Atira, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
So we all have that. The pleasure memory might be great sex. It might be a certain drug. It might be alcohol. It might start with just a cocktail. Oh man, it feels so good to have that first martini when I get home. It feels so good to smoke that joint. Whatever it is, we all have pleasure memory of something. And it might be as relatively harmless as Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and it might be as dangerous as cocaine, which in my opinion is about the most dangerous thing on the planet. So, because I've watched friends destroy their lives with cocaine. So we have to learn how to manage the pleasure memory, and we got to talk about it. When I'm coaching people, when I'm working with people that have compulsive behavior or perceive themselves as addicts, we talk about the pleasure memory, and I go, yeah, tell me more. I start by acknowledging why they're so into it, right? So they don't feel judged by me. They don't feel like I'm here just to say that's bad. You're an addict. But I acknowledge how good that feels or how good it felt, right? And so that's a really important one. Now, again, that doesn't mean you condone it, especially if it's having hurtful consequences. But we want to get out of the role of judging. And we want to get out of the perception that we're going to judge. Life sends me people who have done terrible things and have experienced things that they have a lot of shame for. And I think life sends me those people because I choose to never judge my client, but to really drop into understanding why they made that choice. Not to condone it, but to understand it. Now that, I guess maybe that's a superpower that I have. I still judge certain political figures, by the way. I'm very perfectly human, and there's certain political figures that I still judge. So I still have judgment that I'm working on. But once I'm dropped in with a client or in a relationship satsang group like this, it's like I just drop into, oh my God, wow. And I'm sharing that not to toot my horn. I'm sharing that as a modeling for all of you, because you all can do that too. It's just a practice. It's a practice of noticing what part of me is being judgmental of this person in my life and what part of me just wants to understand them. And that's the shift. That's the shift we want to make in any relationship, is moving out of toxic judgment and into compassionate understanding. So I think it's time for just a little bit of a break. I'm wondering, Omashar, if you would be willing to just give us a little music, and that'll give me time for people to put more questions into the chat box, for me to check and see what's going on Facebook. And I know I said at the end of the show, but I'm sure would you be willing to give us a little musical break? And you're muted, my friend.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, this isn't a break. This is the flow. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I actually put a question in there, which may reverberate with some other folks too, a little bit further back up the chat. So
okay, great. I'll go back. Yeah, I've got to catch up on the chat. So
yeah, it's all good. And thank you, Scott. This is very deepening and very refreshing. And it's lovely to be in a forum which is just open and honest. What a concept. And here is a little ditty called Just When.
Just when. And look, ta-da, my magical keyboard appears. Just when you think that all is lost, and the curtain looks to fall, perhaps it's just the song of hope that calls, and you trust in life exposed. Around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. Another day is here for you to live, and I'll walk it through with you. There is no doubt your heart is pure and true. So I came to remind you, no need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. I am in all that you will see. Have trust in your life and trust in me. Dust yourself down and I'll lift you up. I will fill your loving cup. Just when you thought that all was lost, I came to remind you, no need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me.
All twinkle, beloved Omashar.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to sing today. I was just chilling, laying back here going, yeah, no singing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Wow. Well, since Omashar gave us some song, I'm going to actually go to something that he wrote about, which is forgiveness. Just asking about forgiveness. And I know a couple of other people that have brought that up in different ways. And thank you, everybody, for your comments. And I got a lot of direct messages, so I'm going to try and cover as many as I can. So my opening thought about forgiveness might surprise you. I'm actually not a big fan of forgiveness until a certain step has been made. And it's what actually I was just talking about, compassionate understanding. And the reason for that is that forgiveness can, no, not always, but it can perpetuate the right, wrong, good, bad model, right? It often perpetuates the idea of, I need to forgive you because you did something bad or wrong. And certainly people that are lost in the perception of being a victim can often get really stuck in a forgiveness thing. You need to do this before I can forgive you. It actually can become a weapon. You did this thing to me, and I know you want me to forgive you, but I can't forgive you until you fill in the blank. No, I'm not accusing any of you, and certainly not almost sorry anybody who asked about forgiveness of doing that. But I've seen it, and maybe all of us have experienced that to some degree. And so before authentic forgiveness can happen, what we need to do is compassionately understand, kind of similar to what I was talking about before, understanding the impact, you know. Remember I said to Atira, when you're setting up the space for your lover, you're not even looking for him to say, I'm sorry. This isn't about forgiveness. It's about understanding the impact of what he did and how it impacted you. And what's wonderful, ideally, is we both want to understand each other. It's important for Atira to understand why he loves to take those drugs, what's going on in his pleasure memory, what he's remembering that he wants to experience or what he's hoping to experience, and to really drop in and have, and I think she did. I trust that she does have compassion and understanding. She made that pretty clear. I see her nodding her head. So it works both ways. It's not just, I need to forgive you and you got to do this, but wow, why did you do that? What was going on for you? Why did you make that choice? Remember, people make a choice for a reason. It might be the wrong strategy. It might be, in hindsight, a poor choice. But in the moment, there's a reason they did that thing, right? Let's try and understand it. And when we can understand it, and again, as a coach, that's my job. If I understand why somebody does something, that's my best chance of helping them make a different choice the next time, right? And that's true for all of us. So, but if we're just defending ourselves, we can't even understand what are the steps that led up to that thing that I don't want to do again, right? So that's the groundwork for ideally doing forgiveness. Now, sometimes I have a feeling, I don't know if this is true in your case, Omashar, but sometimes we haven't forgiven somebody and it happened so long ago, or we are so out of touch with that person, or that person's just not, they're no longer alive, or they're no longer alive in our world. So we can't even have that conversation. So how do we handle forgiveness? Well, what's the impact today? How is that choice, that thing that happened, how is it still impacting me today? What's the wound? What's my scar? It may be I now have a veil of past pain that I don't trust men anymore, or I don't trust opening myself sexually, or I don't trust a particular faith or religion or practice. Usually it's an impact like that. I no longer trust myself in a certain situation, or I no longer trust a certain kind of person or a certain kind of situation. And if that's the case, then take a look at, is that, to what degree is that quality discernment? And discernment is a very useful thing in life. And often we cultivate discernment after we get hurt, right? We burn ourselves on the stove and we learn to never touch a hot stove again. So discernment is a good thing. But to what degree am I throwing the baby out with the bathwater? To what degree am I now, have I moved into a blanket bias, a blanket prejudice? All men are that way. All employers are that way. All, whatever it may be. All religions are that way. No, that's not true. So have we turned our painful experience into an absolute? And if that's the case, that's where we need to do some healing and maybe look for alternatives. And that's where it's good to get together with a coach or a friend and say, hey, can you share with me some experiences from your worldview where men are not like that, or religions are not like that, or whatever it may be. Gather new evidence. Gather new evidence. And take the time to mourn. That's another big part of forgiveness. Oftentimes we just haven't mourned. And mourning is really important. It's interesting. Right now, at least half of the couples I'm working with are either separating or seriously considering separating. It's amazing how many relationships are changing and ending right now. And I bring that up as I talk about mourning, because a big part of with the couples I'm working with that have decided to separate or to change the form of the relationship, I take them through a deep grieving process. It's really important to mourn. And oftentimes, sometimes we haven't forgiven because we actually haven't even gone through the mourning process. In fact, drum roll, it's time for a Scott story. I love telling stories. For those of you who come to the retreat and are staying in the big house that we're going to be in, we might have bedtime stories with Uncle Scott. That's something that I sometimes do at my retreats. So, because I love telling Scott stories. I see that Karen's excited about that because Karen's going to be there. So here's a Scott story, true story. Many, many years ago, back when I was traveling and teaching and touring, I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and there was a woman who had a big family crisis. And she said, Scott, I'm going to need your help with my family. And I'm going to need it for an entire afternoon and evening. Can I book your time? I said, okay. So we booked the time. I didn't know what the dynamics were. She picked me up in Louisville and drove me. I remember going over the river into Indiana. And as we're driving, she's telling me the situation. And the situation is that 10 years earlier, she was with her family. Her mother and father were in the front seat of the car. She and her two twin brothers were in the back seat of the car. And they were in a terrible car accident. All 5 of them were physically injured, and one of the twin brothers was killed. The fallout included physical recovery for the 4 survivors. The mother and father broke up and divorced. The mother became a born-again Christian and married another born-again Christian. The father trauma bonded with the remaining son, the surviving son, and they trauma bonded through drugs and alcohol. So they really polarized from the mother, who was born-again Christian. And then the father and the son had their own big split, that there was jail involved and prison time and drugs and alcohol. And the sister who had hired me was the only one in contact with everybody. And she had arranged to bring everybody together for the first time in years. And I'm supposed to heal it because I'm a love coach. That's back when I had like puppets. The puppets weren't going to do it. And as she's telling me this story, I'm thinking to myself, this is way beyond my capacity. This is way beyond my ability. I don't know. What am I going to do here? We get to the house, and slowly people arrive. And of course, everybody finds their own corner, right? And it's just like the level of fear and the level of anxiety was really high. And so finally everybody was there, and it's time to get started. And so I did decide to start with a prayer. And as I was leading the prayer, I received the inspiration from higher self, higher source, to mourn, to lead the family into mourning. And you know what's funny? I remember the name. I don't remember the name of the mother, the father, or the surviving brother. I do remember the woman who hired me because I actually still work with her. But I remember the name of the one who had died. And the fellow who had died, his name was Travis. And I just got the inspiration, let's start by mourning Travis. And I just led us into a deep mourning. And literally, everyone began, as I talked about mourning, how much we miss him. Now, mind you, he had died 10 years earlier. But they hadn't mourned. They had never mourned together as a family. And literally, everybody began to come together. And as we went deeper and deeper into the mourning, tears were shed. And soon everybody was holding each other, crying, weeping. That's the power of mourning as it relates to forgiveness. We didn't go into what everybody had done to hurt the other. We dropped into mourning. This broken family, this terrible thing happened 10 years ago, and everyone coped with it in their own way. And we just mourned. And we spent the whole afternoon and evening mourning the pain. So deep mourning and deep grieving is a big part of long-term forgiveness. And I see that that's bringing some tears for people. So I'm glad. Umasho wrote, I wish to forgive because the weight of carrying the judgment and remembered pain is weighing on me and is affecting my daily thought and feeling process. Well, that tells my beloved brother that you're wanting to move on. Now, often, and this is such a rich topic, there's so many aspects to it, we have trouble letting go because we want to be understood. We want for our pain to be understood. So I'm going to tell another Scott story. You're going to get lots of Scott stories in relationships satsang. So this Scott story is a woman who hired me who was really clear on what she wanted. She was happily married with a 5-year-old son, and she loved her husband. Everything was good, except she didn't trust him with money. And she was very clear why she didn't trust him with money. When she was about 8 months pregnant, he made a big financial decision and took their nest egg and invested it into a thing that bombed, and they lost their nest egg, about $100,000. And she brought me into her house. This was back when I was traveling around. She brought me to her house, and so the husband is there, she's there. She brings up the story and she says, I want to trust my husband with money again, and I just can't because of this thing that happened. And he's like, it was 5 years ago. I've apologized 1,000 times. And she was like, yeah, and I still don't trust you. So she needed to be understood for her pain. You've heard me say this before today. So what I did was I had them do, and this Atira is kind of similar to what I'm going to suggest for you to do. I had him sit side by side with her, not opposite where they might polarize, but side by side, with his arm around her. And what we're going to do is we're going to watch the movie of what happened. And his job is to feel her experience every step along the way. Not to apologize, but to feel it. And her job is just to talk about how she experienced it, not to talk about what he did bad or wrong, just her experience. So take us back to when you first learned he had invested that money. And a couple of times I had to stop her. She'd start to go into judgment. No. Just what did you experience? What did you hear? What did you feel in your body? Go back, remember. And a couple of times he started to go, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. No. Just feel with her. Just feel with her. But finally they were able to drop in. Surprised that he made this big decision without telling me. Concerned. Are you sure this is okay? And she remembered that. And then, with the different steps, and then the memory of when she learned the money was lost and was not going to come back. And I remember horror, absolute horror was the word. And so I just asked her, what does horror feel like in your body? What does that feel like? Wanting to throw up, my throat's tight, all the different things. And he's got his arm around her. I'm saying, just feel it with her, bro. Feel it with her, feel it with her. And just feeling it with her. And he was really feeling it. with her. And then I asked her the question, what's the pain today? And she screeched out, I want to trust my husband with money. That was the pain, not that she had lost it. The pain today wasn't that the money was gone. It was that she couldn't trust her husband with money. And because he was feeling her so deeply, he felt that pain. He said, Scott, please, may I say something to her? I said, yeah. He looks at her and he says, honey, you can trust me. I never want either of us to feel this pain again. Boom, it was over. It was over. It lifted, and in that holy, sacred moment, she got that he got it. And it lifted. And I continued to work with him, actually. And she said, oh, yeah, I trust Charles with money again. It's not a problem. The moral of the story is often we need our pain to be understood before we can forgive. Now, what do we do when the person that caused the pain is not available? They've died, they married somebody else, they've blocked us on Facebook, whatever it is, they're not available. And that's a very real occurrence that I've helped many people through. Well, that's where you need to find somebody who can really drop in and either role play or at least just give profound empathy and understanding. And there are people in this room that can do that. I mean, Karen Eisenberg could do that. Kristin could do that. Josiane could do that. Nikita could do that. Tammy Moore could do that. Krista could do that. I can do that. So, and there are others in this room that can do that. Those are the people who have their cameras on that I saw. So, find a coach or find a friend that can really drop in with you if that person is not available. I see a lot of messages have come in. Mishra, I'm going to bring you on and ask you how that, just to share a little bit, if that's helpful in what comes up for you. And actually, as you express yourself, I'm going to take a look at some of the messages that have come.
Yeah, it does help because it put on another potential for healing modality that I had not even contemplated. And as I said in the chat box, as soon as you started talking about mourning, it took me out of the place of trying to sort out what happened and blaming. I've done a lot of forgiveness work around the situation that I'm talking about, but it still is a weight on my shoulder and on my emotions. And so as soon as the mourning potential came in, I started to feel tears. It's like, God, Goddess, I truly miss the people that were involved in this situation. And and so there's a grief, perhaps of not being able to even sort it out, but just grieving something that I've held on to for so long, a couple of years now, that it's become a part of me. So even mourning my whatever it is that I created, which is stuck in my heart, let's say. And so, yes, mourning is another key. Thank you. Yeah.
The person that you engaged with at this time.
It was a group situation, like a perfect storm of being blamed for something and then shamed for something and then banished from somewhere and a gazillion people seeing something that didn't happen. And it's been a theory of my life, being blamed for things a story of my life, even as a child, blamed for things that I never did. And because I have no boundaries, cancel clear, I'm growing them, but I was always blamed for something. And my response was never to speak up for myself. I would just go bright red as a child and be blamed. And so this is just another of that pattern of being blamed for something. This one had serious consequences that I've the last couple of years I've dug myself out of, but I'm still left with the potential to judge, even though I'm not judging, but I still have the emotional baggage, mental baggage. Yeah.
Just imagining. Actually, there's a word again, the horror of being accused of something you haven't done and having people judging you for that.
Yeah, this one was absolutely, truly wicked, absolutely wicked. You wouldn't believe, I won't go into the story, but you wouldn't believe. I'm amazed that I even rose out of it, but it's because I have my music and the practices that I've been doing for a couple of decades on centering and knowing that there's a purpose to everything. And as we walk ourselves through these purposes and solve them through our kinship with beings like you, Scott, then we can be an example for the rest of us.
I'm sure what, if I was speaking to somebody who thinks you did that thing, what would they say what would the judgment of you have been?
No, I can't go there. It's what would the judgment of me being made? I don't, without going into this, revealing the story, which I'm not willing to do right here. But I'm also getting that some of it was some of the residual feeling is actually ego based. It's like, okay, I have egg on my face now, and that is really nothing to do with anybody else. It's just shame. So it brings in all sorts of levels of feelings. Yeah, it's yeah. Yes, I'm not too sure what to say, brother.
Okay, so what I'd like to ask, because many of the people in this room have been enjoying you and your music and your creative efforts and creative offerings for quite some time now. And I'd love to ask you to receive the truth of how we see you. Because the horror of not being seen clearly, having egg on the face, I just invite you to receive how we see you. And people can put that in the chat box, or if anybody is willing to do it on camera, just put the little hand emoji up. And would you be willing to receive how some of us see your divinity, see your beauty? Would you be willing to receive that?
Yeah, yes, yes.
And where in your body might you still carry the pain? The pain that you have, where in your body would you find it?
Yeah, I truly think it's in my gut and my heart. Mentally, you know, it's just a little mental floss would help. But
So would you be willing to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly? And let's just acknowledge those places in your body that still have pain, that still carry the wound of this thing. And all of us, let's send love to beautiful, beloved Omashar. And especially imagining love to his belly and that gorgeous, beautiful heart that he has. Sending love to Omashar, sending love to his belly, to his heart. I'm going to point camera some of the people that are sending you love right now. There's Atira, there's Kristin Hoffmann, there's Karen, Nikita, it's Dr. Josie Ann, there's Tammy Moore sending you love. We only have room for one more person, Christina. So all sending you love right now. And if any of you, with or without camera on, are willing to just turn on your microphone and just share how you see Omashar, how you experience him. Josiane, go ahead.
Masha, what a share. I feel your pain and I feel your hope and light. While you share, the pain of multiple experiences of being blamed. I feel I had something similar, and I think if we ask some of the audience, many of us have been going through such what we call it is a core wound of injustice. So that core wound of injustice has been following us, not only in this lifetime, perhaps in many lifetimes. And then it's pushing us to see the truth, to seek the truth, to speak the truth through our being, and be completely loving in order to shift and transmute this core wound into love. So thank you for doing it through your music. You found the perfect outlet for you as a human, sentient, divine human, with so much humanity. When you speak and when you sing, when you play, know that your truth comes out, and we feel you and we love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Josiane. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Atira, I noticed you have your hand up.
I just wanted to say, oh, Mashar, I see your truth and I see your beauty. And I thank you for the gifts that you give us out of that truth and beauty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atira. Yeah, it's a trip because I know that it's because I've kept the divine channel open in spite of myself and in spite of life's experience. That is what allowed me to not be lost in it. If I didn't have that, and it's the music that's kept that alive, because I only write about conscious things, and otherwise I could have imploded, I think, and gone down some dark road.
Thank you.
But thank you, Atira.
How are you doing with receiving all of this?
I'd say I'm at 50%, and I'm being brutally honest. Brutally honest? That's saying. You know, I have a lot of it's the old worthy thing. You know, I was brought up to be unworthy as a Brit, and so even when I'm playing, there's this secondary being comes in and goes, "Nah, you're going to mess up. You're not worthy. Why would these people even want to listen to you?" And it's insane, you know, when I know that there's so much reception of the work that I do, and it's just this double-edged duality within me. Yeah.
Right. Well, to that part of you, I want to ask you to just step aside, and I want to ask Mashar to keep breathing, that even deflect some of it by talking, and I invite you to just breathe in, because there are a couple more people that want to share with you how they see you, and maybe just breathe. And this is a tip for everybody. When we're receiving compliment or receiving love, and for whatever reason we are deflecting it, we're having trouble receiving it, imagine you're sipping your favorite drink. Remember to inhale, sip in the love, sip in what Atira had to say, sip in, right? That's a little Scott tool, a little tip. Thank you, Atira. And I'm going to bring my dear friend Nikita is with us. And I'm really glad that Nikita is with us today. She's amazing. And Nikita has a little something to share for you. And so, Mashar, your job is to sip in whatever Nikita and a couple of other people have to say.
Mashar, I do not know you, so this is our first time meeting. And I'm Aussie. So I loved how you said about the patterning that we bring sometimes from our lineages and our countries. And I want to acknowledge you that as a man, to be standing up and showing your heart in a group of mostly women and talking so vulnerably about the parts of you that have been closed and the parts of you that you want to now open. Just want to honor your courage, just seeing your courage to show your heart so vulnerably and to be so authentic. And also, I want to honor your courage to share your gifts with your inner world. I think that our soul gifts are so needed now, and many of us have, I'll speak for myself, thought that we have to hide because we're not worthy, or we've been taught we're not worthy, or whatever pattern we have about worthiness. And I love that you spoke about challenging that when you're bringing your gifts and your music through. And so I just really want to honor you and honor the healing power of music and how important that is. And I really know the more that we center in our own self-love, it's like the bigger our gifts can get, and the bigger the music gets, the bigger my offerings get. So I hope that's beneficial to your heart, to just know that you're loved, know that you're held, and know that you're supported. And it's a really lovely moment to meet you in circle today. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. Thank you. How you doing with how'd you do with sipping that in?
Quite good actually, especially as she's in Aussie, because I spent a long time in New Zealand, so I have a bit of a love for my Australian friends. But this is just me covering up again. Excuse me.
That's okay. I did that.
And it's true, but I do have a tendency to ramble when I need to, when emotions are coming up.
Yeah, of course. How perfectly human. How
Yes. And I'm crying because I've been amongst us, Global Peace Tribe, for all these 3 seasons now almost, and I'm feeling trust. And as trust develops, it allows me to say things which I would not normally say, because I only want to show you what I want you to see. However, we are becoming transparent, and so it's a gift. This day is a gift. Thank you.
You're giving us a beautiful gift. I mean, what a beautiful modeling for what this group is all about. That's why it's relationship satsang. We are family. We are community coming together. And a beautiful member of our community, Karen, has a little something she wants to share as well.
Hi, Omashar. You have been in my home with me for so many evenings. I have to say, your light has just lifted me up. You are so much a part of the show. Without you, the Global Peace Tribe would not be the complete wholeness of love and light that it is. It makes me want to cry, because I just, in being blessed by your incredible talent of music and voice, and what you do for each and every one of us, every show, is just so incredibly healing. I want you to know that. You might not realize how deep of a being you are and what you do for so many of us. So this is my heart speaking to you. And I really agree also with Nikita. It is such a huge, brave thing you're doing to be authentic and really share your pains. And Scott is such an incredible coach that for you to come forward on Satsang Relationship, you are going to be so blessed. I've been in one of his relationship classes already, and will continue, for who knows, for forever. It's just so important. Everything in our life is a relationship. So, but back to you. It's just, I just want you to know what a light of love, and you have such a caring heart. I read the chat, and I see your beautiful messages to each and every one of us. And also, I feel and see on every show your dedication to be our music star for the Global Peace Tribe. So thank you. It just makes me want to cry, because you're such a special being, and feeling your pain with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you. And we're growing together, all of us, hand in hand. Kristin and Cornflower and Jamishka and all of our beautiful family that turn up, you know, we're all completely equal, and we're all lifting together and rising together. And I already feel expanded from this exchange. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That was beautiful. I'm going to bring on one more person to give you some love. It's Krista Collins, our, wonderful new co-host for many of the shows. Krista, you're up.
All right. What an honor to be here with you, Omashar, as always, whenever we get to connect. And I'm new to Global Peace Tribe and the Awakening World as of June. So I just want to reflect the ways that you have made me feel so welcome here. Of course, Scott too, but of course, this being about the way that you've shown up and not only have seen me and commented beautiful compliments to me, the way I speak, the way I share, my sincerity. We know that everything is a reflection. So what you see in me is really, truly the reflection of you. And so I just wanted to remind you that. And I know Karen shared that too, just how kind and heartfelt you are with everyone here. And I've never felt more safe in a community and seen. And you certainly have been a huge part of that. And I think that every time I'm co-hosting with Scott or as a guest, you're always so open and willing to share, give your thoughts, and also be vulnerable with your own story and your own journey. So that is such an example to the men who need to see that and need to also step into their own vulnerability. So we see you, we love you, and we're just so grateful and just looking so much forward to just being on this growth journey with you and with everyone here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Krista. Beautiful. And I really love that she reminded that, you're modeling for men, Omashar, like the show we did last night, with women just wanting men to show up, the way you're showing up right now.
Right.
So,
thank you all.
Thank you, bro. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling possibility, because it's a possibility within my being for clearing that which has been weighing me down. So thank you.
How's your heart and how's your tummy?
My heart is good. My tummy's good. We shall see as the rest of the day goes how I, because I'll be all musicking this afternoon. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for being just modeling and giving us a chance to work with you, show you love. And there's some fun comments for you to read in the chat box as well.
Yes. Thank you, Scott. Thank you all. Love you.
So I'll take a breath. And I'm so grateful for Omashar being willing to be open like that. And to thank you everybody for your beautiful comments, your beautiful sharings. I'm going to give just a couple more thoughts and we're going to actually close. I want to introduce a couple of things that are happening. I want for us to learn a little bit more about what Nikita is doing. She has this beautiful I Am mantra, which is an amazing resource for us. And we'll close with a Kristin song, which is wonderful. She offered that. So really happy about that. Jeffrey Kohlberg just wrote, I'm having a conversation with a friend in Florida about our issues. She's been listening in and we're going to continue our conversation. Lovolution is the solution. Thank you, Jeffrey, for always reminding us that Lovolution is the solution. There's, of course, so many different places we could go. And I think the only thing I want to briefly touch on is shame. And we'll probably talk a lot about shame over the weeks because most of us carry some shame. And I believe that shame is the great human epidemic, that it's what holds humanity down. And it's when we're in shame that we play small, we make choices that sabotage ourselves and sabotage each other. It's a really hard one. And we're going to work on how to alleviate our shame And again, we're going to start by recognizing that when we have shame, what's helpful is to identify the voice. What's the voice inside that's shaming me? What's the voice inside that's shaming me? Well, maybe many number of things. It may be your father, your mother, an authority figure. It might be your own protective self, that when you were 5 years old and you did something and you got egg on your face, you were embarrassed, you made a promise, I will never do that again. I'll never put myself in that situation again, because you didn't want to ever feel that again. Or you really bought into a belief that you're fat or ugly or unattractive or stupid or whatever it may be. So it's important for us to go back and look at, where did that come from? Where does it live in my body? And where does it live in my consciousness? And that's, again, we're working with a coach, one of the coaches that's here today. It could be of value to identify that, to go back and to look at that. I often tell the story about a couple I worked with, Scott's story. I'm sure we're gonna have to have like a little bell, come up with a little, sound when there's something like that. Exactly.
No, we'll get a gong.
A gong, a Scott story song is about to happen. Couple comes to see me. They're working on their issues. They're attractive, late 30s, early 40s. And one of the things that comes up, he says, she's so beautiful. And whenever I tell her she's beautiful, she pushes it away. She deflects. She says, no, I'm not. You're just saying that because you're my boyfriend. And she was a very attractive woman. So I ended up doing a solo session with her, and we went into, we talked about this issue. She said, oh, I've always known I'm ugly. I've always known that. And it would be like any of the people here saying that. It's just not true. And so I took her into a slight hypnotic state, and we went back in time to the very first time she learned that she was ugly. And all of a sudden she remembers being on the playground, and she's really little. She's like 6 or 7. Like, being at school is really new, and being on the playground is really new. And there was a boy, she had no idea what his name was, but he was a couple of years older, and he had red hair and freckles. He was saying, you're ugly. You're really ugly. And because she was a little girl in a vulnerable place, he was an authority figure. He was an older boy telling her who she was. And that little bugger got into her brain. And from that point on, she collected evidence to prove that he was right, that she was ugly. And so if any of us want to work on our shame story, 2 little pieces of that story. 1, where did it start? Where's that voice coming from? And 2, to what degree do you collect evidence to prove it? And that's, we'll talk a lot about that over the weeks too. Learning to notice, when am I collecting evidence to support the idea that I'm stupid, that I'm this, that I'm that, or collecting evidence to support a negative belief about someone else in your life. Right? And we do that. We collect evidence. When I'm working with a couple and they first come to me, they're kind of like, should we stay together or not? I'll ask the questions to see, to what degree are each of them collecting evidence that this can work and that the other person is wonderful and right for them? And to what degree is each person collecting evidence that this person is toxic, this person is whatever the judgment might be? That's what I look for. And so, because we all can do that. So there's maybe even some homework assignment for you. And we can talk about it next week, or you can privately text me. So going way back to the beginning, I'm here to learn to love myself despite. Love for you to all explore that. I'm here to learn to love myself despite. Okay. Or where did I first develop this shame story? Or what am I collecting evidence for in my life? These are some of the things to work on. There were many questions and things people asked that we didn't get to quickly. There are conscious dating sites. There's one called Meet Mindful. And if anybody else knows, there's one I think called Spiritual Singles. I haven't gone on it, but I've heard of it. And if anybody knows of dating sites, we have somebody in the audience and is wanting spiritual matches. So anything there. I want to put the spotlight on my friend Nikita. I'm really, really glad that she's with us. She's become a very dear friend. She was on Saturday Night Live a long time ago with her I Am Mantra project, which she is growing and expanding. And it's a wonderful offering for years, free of charge. She's been providing these daily mantras. And for those of you who get my Facebook story, I've been sharing them for the last month. And Nikita, first of all, big love. I'm glad you're here. And I just love to kind of introduce our Global Peace Tribe. We're going to do a whole show together, a Sacred Sunday show coming up. But before that happens, I'd love for you to just share a little bit about your launch, I Am Mantra, and your beautiful offerings.
Thank you, Scott. Well, it's so lovely to be here in circle with everyone. And Kristin, big love. Before I speak about myself, I just want to shower Scott with a whole lot of love. I want to say to you, brother, congratulations for this launch of Saturday Satsang. You are just an incredible gift to this world and to our community. You're so humble, and getting to know you, you'll just drop little stories, and it's not even the stories and your experiences, it's your perception, your empathy, your awareness. You're an incredible human. You're an incredible man. You're an incredible soul. I just want to shower you with a whole lot of goodness right now. So can we just give Scott like a whole lot of love, because he gives so much, Scott.
Now I'm struggling with what I was working with Omar Sharon, so I'm sipping it in because this is supposed to be about you right now, Nikita.
I know, but I tricked you. Well, I didn't really trick you. I just, briefly, I want to just say Scott came into my life about 2 months ago, a little over, when I just completed a 17-year marriage unexpectedly about 9 months ago. And what I realized is the importance of having soul family and community where we can really talk about things. I think it's essential, but we've been brought up to think we have to do things alone. And I don't know if anyone else has had that experience, but I know I sure did, thinking that I had to navigate it all by myself. So I just want to say the importance of the times that we're living in, the importance of these gatherings where we can talk about, like, there might be certain areas that I'm really strong in, and there might be certain areas that Kristin's really strong in. And then we share this wisdom, and we're like, wow, how do you navigate this? How do you navigate that? And I think we're just richer when we're together as a community sharing our gifts. And no one's better or less. We're all really bringing our gifts to support the whole. So I just want to say that. And it's an honor to be here. And then just briefly about me, I'm Aussie, from Australia. I live in Southern Oregon. I love this country. I love humanity. I started I Am Mantra, which delivers daily mantras to over 250,000 people every month. We get over 14 million views. We have over 80 countries, people in Turkey, people in Iran, Nigeria. And what I love about that is that there is a collective awakening that's happening. And I think many of us are here are kind of on that pioneer wave, and that our light is really needed now. And then I just launched Scott. Scott's always like, Nikita, step out from behind the curtain. I think some of us, I'll speak for myself, I'm a student of life. I always feel like I'm learning. I don't feel like I'm an expert at anything, but I feel like I realize I do have a lot of gifts that can assist others. And so today I launched my Living Wisdom Coaching, which I did coaching back in the 2000s, early 2000s for many years. And then life happened with some family member stuff, and I kind of put my soul gifts on hold. And so with the completion of my marriage, it was as if the universe said, Nikita, no more standing behind the shadows. It's time to step out. And so it's really an honor to just be witnessed in this, opening myself up to bring my gifts and to be of benefit in the ways that I can, in addition to offering my truths. And yeah, I'm really grateful. So thank you so much.
So thank you. And everybody, you can go to, here we go. If you go to iammantra.com, I'll put that in the chat box. And register, definitely get on this. You get your daily I Am Mantra from her. They're beautiful. And then you click here, and that takes you to her Living Wisdom Coaching. And this is it today, October 1st. So many wonderful things are starting today, including her Living Wisdom Coaching. She's offering free discovery calls. So thank you, Nikita, for stepping out from behind the curtain after supporting millions of people with I Am Mantra, and for opening up your sharing and your coaching. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
Speaking of coaching, again, you heard her speak a little bit earlier today. Dr. Josie Ann is with us, and she's been on my show several times. And next Friday night, we're going to do an entire show together with Mantak Chia. She arranged Mantak Chia to join us, which is going to be really, really cool. And the three of us are going to have a conversation about Josie Ann's work, and her work is called Compassionate Love. So Josie Ann, do you want to give just a little sneak preview of you and Compassionate Love and what we'll be talking about next Friday night?
Sure, with pleasure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My internet has been up and down, so
We hear you.
yes. Okay, great. Thank you for having me and for having Mantak Chia, that I love so much, for bringing us this awareness that yes, everything is relationship, like Karen was saying. And what he's doing is going to expand the way that we understand unconditional love and compassion that's right inside our heart, and how to tap literally into this portal of love in order to better connect with the universe, because it's all about energy. But if we just count on the food that we're eating, or if we're counting just on the trees that are missing now, we're not going to go further than a few years. So it's going to teach us through exercises, basically how to expand and to see ourselves as connected with the universe, and doing some specific exercises to also tap into our Kundalini sexual life force, our creative life force, in order to get what we want, to be healthier and to have amazing, mind-blowing relationships, intimate relationships with ourselves and with others or our loved ones. So I look forward to seeing all of you. We need that, because the way that I wrote it in my book, this is the only way to save us, to preserve us from auto self-destruction. We are going towards it, and it is really alarming. And if we don't have natural gifts, if we don't expand our awareness of who we are as humans, we are going to disappear. So this is really important to understand who we are and why we are on earth, and how we can really bring heaven on earth.
Thank you, Dr. Josie Ann. Looking forward to being with you next Friday night. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, Scott.
All right, just a couple more announcements, and then Kristin Hoffmann. So looking forward to this. We got this retreat happening, everybody, and some of you here have registered for it. But if you haven't registered, I know it's a big thing to get to Sedona, but my gosh, Karen Eisenberg's going to be there, and Krista is going to be there, and Omashar is going to be there, and I'm going to be there, and Atira is going to be there, and Atira's beloved friend we got that all hooked up last night. So it's going to be amazing, and Sedona is a remarkable place to be. So our retreat is October 20th to the 24th. Daniel Brinkley is going to be joining us. And then there's another retreat that's going to happen a few weeks later that I am now participating in. And it's a retreat that Krista Collins is putting together with her partner, Nicole, all around 11/11. And so just come, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be in Sedona for a month, because there's the Global Peace Tribe retreat. Then there is the Illuminate Film Festival, which I'm going to be moderating panels for. And it's an amazing film festival happening in Sedona, in person, live, like real movies in a theater, but then also online. And you'll be hearing a lot about that, because we're going to do a whole Awakening World show about it. But that's happening. And then Krista's retreat. So tell us about your retreat, Krista.
Oh, thank you, Scott. So we are meeting over November 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th in Sedona. And we are going to be connecting over the most powerful manifestation portal of the year at the 11/11. So what are you doing on 11/11 this year to anchor that in? Be in Sedona, come out. We're actually going to be meeting the beautiful clubhouse in downtown Cottonwood, which is such a magical little town. And each day is going to be this experiential event where we have beautiful speakers and presenters, activations. It's going to be very experiential. Day one, we're going to really be talking about old paradigm, new paradigm, where we've been, where we're going. Day two is all about tools for conscious collaboration, whether it be in sacred union, whether it be in collaboration with business or even with self. I think actually that's the day, Scott, that we're going to be featuring you, the love coach. So excited to have you part of that special event. And then day three all culminates on the 11/11 portal, where we will be anchoring in all those dreams that you wish to manifest and just create heaven on earth together. So we are imprinting something very, very big this year. And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to play in the energy. We have the New Earth Cosmic Costume Ball that evening on the 11/11. So we get to dress up as our goddess or god or galactic self, be creative. And then, of course, the next day, the 12th, that weekend, we've left open so people can get out on the land and have their own Sedona adventure and play in the energy. So we'd love to see you there. We're having our first annual event, just like Scott is having the Global Peace Tribe first event, and so excited to be supporting each other and promoting each other in that deepest and highest way. So that's why we're all going to be there just the whole month. Why not, right?
Absolutely. So again, I put it in the link, but this is just Gates of Heaven 1111, Gates of Heaven 1111.com. I actually have an affiliate code, which I've got to find that and pop that in. But
yeah, if you could bring your affiliate code, and also we do have a special code for your community, Scott, where they can receive an additional 80 off their ticket. So if everyone wants to write down Awakening, that's the code for Scott's community.
Oh, that's easy. Awakening. Thank you.
Yeah. And you can always message us if you forget or don't have it. Okay.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you for the opportunity. Beautiful to be here.
Will be hosting with me next weekend, so you'll be posted then. Thank you, Krista. All right. Last thing I want to say, and then I'll turn to Kristin, is for those of you who can't come to Sedona, I don't want anybody to ever feel excluded. So we are doing the retreat. We are during the Global Peace Tribe retreat, we are going to live stream as much of it as we can and do our very best to include everybody. And all of you are always welcome. And I'm going to continue to try and find ways to bring us all together as a community. And what you all can do is please spread the word. Spread the word about this group. If you found this group of value, let your friends know about it. If you certainly, I always want more people to join the Awakening World. We're just starting our new 3-month season. So this is a good time for people to register. They'll get the links to all of our shows for the rest of the year. And if this retreat goes well, we'll definitely plan more retreats. I'm looking at doing one in Asheville, North Carolina. So Karen and her friends can come. One in Ashland, Oregon. And we definitely want to get Kristin Hoffmann to one of our retreats. And so hopefully this is the start of something as we continue to grow and to build. And we build by all of you sharing with your friends. And that's how we do grow our community. So that's my ask, is to do your homework assignment and to share with your friends. And speaking of friends, one of the great blessings of my life is my friendship with Kristin Hoffmann. You know, it's a new friendship. We met through the Global Peace Tribe. We met through Saturday Night Live. And she's just become such a source of inspiration, I think, for all of us. And I am honored and proud that I can also call you my friend, Kristin. Thank you.
Oh, you're one of my dearest friends, Scott, and most important souls in my life, and I know in the lives of so many. What you've shared today has been pure, heart-opening wisdom, and as Nikita was saying, your stories, each story is something that is, it's like a universal portal, I feel, when you share these stories. And we can apply them immediately to our own life and experiences. And the wisdom that is shared is that universal kind of nugget of hope and healing. And wow, I'm so excited for more of these Saturdays, because I see after today how valuable it is to be in this space in each of our lives. And this is how the world starts to evolve together, is the more of us that choose to wake up in our own self serving ways, right? Like in our own lives, then we can better serve each other collectively and bond collectively and uplift collectively. So I truly believe this is how it really begins, this kind of change that I know we all are looking for. So thank you. I thought it would be fun to end with this piece that just came through. It's almost like a mantra in a way. As Nikita was sharing about I Am Mantra, I'm like, oh, this last piece is kind of like a little mantra. It says, love, each verse is slightly different. And I just invite you, with your mics muted, of course, because it'll get a little chaotic if not, but sing in your own space as you get used to each little round of the mantra. Sing in your own space. The first one goes, love is the way is love, is love, is love, is love. And then that repeats. And then it goes to, the heart is the gate's the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. The next one is, be in the truth and truth will be. Be in the truth and truth will be. Shining light for all to see that love is the way is love. So you'll get it, but sing in your own space. Here we go.
Turn on your cameras, everybody, because I love to put the cameras on people as she's singing and as we see our community. So thank you, Kristin. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you. So beautiful. Okay, here we go. Scott, maybe mute your microphone. I think it's a little... Love is the way is love, is love, is love, is love. Love is the way is love, is love, is love. Love is the way is love, is love, is love, is love. Wherever you are, it all is love. The heart is the gate's the heart, it all is love. Ooh, wherever you are, it all is love. Wherever you are, it all is love.
Fantastic. Let's all big twinkles.
Love you
Thank
all so
you people for your cameras on, and appreciating those of you who don't have your cameras on. And yes, here's Jasmine there. She's a sleepy girl.
Oh,
She's like,
we
"How is
love her.
yeah, but,
Oh, thank you all so much. Thank you, Scott. What an incredible space. Nikita, it was so beautiful to be with you, sister. I love you so much. I know you're coaching and you're stepping into your next expression in the world is just exactly what your life is calling you for and the world is calling for. I just know you're going to serve so many people in beauty and deep love and expansion. Thank you. Love you. It's been such a joy to see you today. And so many other beloved souls. Omashar, Karen, Krista, so wonderful to meet you. Just love fest all around. Scott, we adore you.
Kristen, we love you. Thank you. Thank you, sister. Love you.
That was an amazing song. Thank you so much. And yeah, big love. So let's carry that love out into the world. And hopefully I will see many or all of you tonight for The Awakening World. Omashar will be playing music, and Tatiana Speed will be with us. And we've got some new guests and some new friends. So it's going to be wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening, a beautiful day. And we'll see you this evening. And we'll see you next Saturday, hopefully. Take care, everybody.